All right, and we're recording. Hey gang, Andy here, and welcome to my 19-year YouTube anniversary. And hard to believe it's been going on 2 decades now that I've been on YouTube, so where do we start? Why, beginning, of course, March 1st, 2006, or March 2nd if you're in Japan, like myself. I started this very YouTube channel that you're watching me on now. And I started this channel initially just to leave comments and subscribe to other people's channels, because you have to remember back in the early to mid 2000s when people were starting to share videos on the internet, before YouTube, it was mainly on curated websites. So people couldn't just upload anything they wanted like they can now. You had to submit your video and it would get seen by a group of curators, admin, moderators, whatever you want to call them. And if they found the video to be funny or interesting enough, they would put it up on their website. So think of like College Humor, Fugly, KillSomeTime.com, Albino Black Sheep, stuff like that. And that was how we watched videos back in the day. And that's how a lot of the very early internet memes started to become a thing. You know, think of like All Your Base Are Belong to Us, Vet's Vet, the early Red vs. Blue, early Angry Video Game Nerd type stuff. That's how that started to spread, basically. But then when YouTube came around, it gave the idea of people making content regularly. So instead of just like maybe a one-off video going viral and then that's it, people could start making regular series of videos. And that's when I decided to finally sign up for YouTube and follow those very early creators. So for me, I was very interested in living in Japan, visiting Japan. So I followed those very early J-Vlogger creators, such as Tokyo Kuni and the late great Roger Swan. And from there, I started uploading some of my early videos, which were basically just clips from my friends' karate tournaments and things like that we would always talk about. You know, certain moments of like, oh man, you remember when Ben kicked that dude in the face? Or, oh dude, you remember when Cody like one punched this one dude and he just was like sprawled out on the mat? But back in the day, those matches were recorded on VCDs. So instead of a DVD, it was on a CD, so VCD. I decided to take one of the copies, take all the video footage off of it, clip the one little part, and just put up on YouTube so we could watch it wherever we were. Didn't have to, put in a VCD or any of that stuff. And those were some of my very early YouTube videos. But a funny thing happens when you're on YouTube long enough, and that is you start to get the itch to do it yourself. And so Labor Day 2008, I bought myself my very first camera, the Sanyo Zacti CG6. Bought it used off of eBay. Started vlogging my daily life in Saline, Ohio. And those early vlogging days were very interesting because back then vlogging wasn't really a thing people did. When I would go outside to film some stuff, I remember people giving me a lot of dirty looks. Even though I was trying to be like quiet and try to keep to myself during the filming parts, I'd still feel kind of the stares of like, what are you doing, man? Are you working for like the government or something? Like, what's going on? And nobody really understood the concept of vlogging, and now it's ubiquitous. And I remember when I moved back to America in like 2015, I remember seeing these kids in the very same McDonald's I used to work in back in the day come in with a little Canon DSLR camera filming their exploits of eating at McDonald's, and I'm just like, full circle moment, But getting back to early days of vlogging, as you guys know, America went through a really bad recession in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and so at the time I couldn't get work doing anything. I couldn't get work at Walmart, McDonald's, none of the factories in the area were hiring, and I was just sleeping on my folks' couch for the most part as a young 20-something, and there was just no career prospects for me at the time. So kind of came to a point where my folks kind of sat me down, gave the ultimatum of, either you join the military or get the fuck out of the house, basically. And so with nothing really on the horizon for me at the time, I decided to join the Navy in 2010. And from there, continued my vlogging to the other part of the country in sunny San Diego, California. From there, once I got out to the fleet, did a deployment in 2012, vlogged all down Central America and stuff like that. I'm really glad I got those videos of my deployment, just, so I can look back on it and relive some of those moments. And then I got orders out to Japan. And so that began the series that I'm most proud of, I gotta say, is the AndyJapandy series, when I started going out and vlogging my adventures out in Japan. From there, went through some pretty hard times, eventually got out-processed out of the Navy in 2015, which is approaching the 10-year mark in September of this year. It'll be 10 years since I got out. Went back to school up in Michigan for about a year or so. Then decided to take a gap year to just kind of figure out my goals and things like that. Stayed with my folks for a little bit. Worked on a bunch of editing projects, videography projects and stuff in the area as well. And then finally decided to go back to school. So I moved in with my brother, who was out in North Carolina at the time, to rebuild my GPA and to get out to school out here in Japan, because I wanted to come back to Japan. I just didn't really know how to do it, but through talking with an old shipmate of mine, he smartened me up to, there's schools out here that take the GI Bill, and so you can come out here and study. I'm just like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I thought I had to go to school strictly in America, But once I figured that out, the choice was easy, and went to stay with my brother for a little bit to work on my GPA, applied to a school out in Japan, and eventually I got accepted out to Lakeland University, Japan, which was originally in Shinjuku, but they've now since moved out to Ryogoku in eastern Tokyo. So got accepted out to that school out there, sold all my stuff, and got on a plane out to Tokyo. And so things were going pretty good at first. I only had like a very tight amount of savings at the time, so I was just kind of waiting for that first GI Bill check to hit, and then once it would, then I could start living normally. But I was living a little lean at first, but I was feeling very positive because I was finally back in Japan, back to doing what I wanted to do. And then the old Corona macaroni hit, and we went from studying in the class to studying in Zoom rooms. Things got a little depressing because, I spent all this time working to be able to socialize and hang out with people, and now I was stuck at home once again. But where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And in that chaos, there was the opportunity to work on a bunch of different projects. I did so much work as a video editor, videographer, photographer. I just had the flexibility to do that as a student, because I would basically just work on stuff at home for school, and then on the weekends I would go shoot, and then during the week I would edit and do schoolwork. And so it was very easy for me to do that at the time. And then thankfully, a couple years later, things started easing up, and I was able to get out and visit people once again, and revisit my old friends that I made during my first time here, and meet up with some new friends out here in Shonan, in the southern coast of Kanagawa. And it was meeting with these people out here in Shonan that I got the itch to want to live out here. But I didn't really know how it could make it happen because it's so far away from a lot of places that are very foreign friendly in terms of employment, namely Tokyo. So it's far away from the bigger cities. So, the commute times and stuff start ramping up and it just gets a bit more difficult. But I had that idea in my head for a while. During that time, I graduated from university, the first in my family to do it. And from there, got a bunch of little part-time gigs, some freelance stuff here and there while I was searching for my first full-time visa-sponsored job. I tried to do the self-sponsor thing because I was getting so much freelance work at the time, but I wasn't really making enough to be able to support myself from that. So I wouldn't have been able to been approved for the visa based on that. So I tried to get some higher paid gigs to support myself and to get approved for that visa, but unfortunately it fell through. So I had to look for myself a good old job, and it took a while, and I was winding down to single digits left on my visa at the time. And, I was even looking at booking flights out to Korea just to be able to continue my job hunt. But thankfully, I managed to find a gig out here in Shonan. Now I've been working out in this area for going on 2 years now. Started in September 2023. And I've been out here ever since, living out here in lovely Chigasaki, Kanagawa, Japan. Basically the sister city of Honolulu, Hawaii. Gotta say, I've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, to be honest. But overall, I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. I have a lot of plans for types of videos and stuff that I want to do, not just here, but elsewhere on YouTube. And yeah, things are looking pretty darn good for the old Andy San Samadeshta. With that said, I just want to thank you guys for joining me here on this 19 going on 20 year YouTube journey. Whether you're an old school follower, giving the 5 stars, right? If you're an old schooler, or the old thumbs up, thumbs down, that sort of dealio. Just want to thank you guys for all the support throughout the years. And with that said, this is Andy. Sign off for now. As always, and forever, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye.
Simple life and happier times, spirits of past, memories of mine. Shooting stars in the pale moonlight.